Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're at 181 subscribers, so we went up quite a bit from yesterday. Thank you all so much for the support. It really, really does mean a lot to me. Please keep subscribing. Please like my content. And additionally, if you really wanted to help out the channel, I will put a link to my Discord server as well in the description box down below. If you guys want to take a look and consider joining. So again, if you like my content, consider subscribing. And let's get into the topic of today's video, which is the states to watch on election night. And at this point, I have put out right now the states that are likely to be called on election night. So right now, we're going to have Joe Biden at 232 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 187. I'm going to be giving Texas, Ohio, and Iowa as Trump states. I think those will be called on election night. He'll probably have 2 to 3 point victories here, depending on how strong he's doing in a lot of these Rust Belt states, depending on how well he is doing in the Southeast as well, a very critical spot I'm going to be talking about. But again, Joe Biden's still leading in terms of electoral votes. His math is easier to get to 270 than Donald Trump's. But again, my topic for today's video was actually looking at the states that are most important. And when we're talking about mail-in ballots and states that count the votes the quickest, those are going to be most important. And those would be the states of North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. The region really in the Southeast is going to be critical because if we see Joe Biden winning any one of these states on election night, again, as I've said, these states historically are very, very good at tabulating their votes. In terms of mail-in voting, Florida has been doing it for a very long time. Same with Georgia, same with North Carolina. So if Joe Biden is leading in any one of these states, we'll have a better picture of where the national result is going to be. Now, consider the fact that if Donald Trump wins all of these states, it doesn't obviously mean he's going to win the White House because Joe Biden can quite easily just win the Rust Belt, even lose something like in Arizona, and he would still be at over 270 electoral votes. So again, really the Southeast is going to be absolutely critical when tabulating the votes because again, if we see something like Florida going blue or Joe Biden leading tomorrow on in the state of Florida, that is going to be very, very good news for his campaign. Additionally, Donald Trump actually has been leading in some new polls in Florida, so he has been looking quite good here. Again, not impossible for Joe Biden to win here. In fact, it's a 50-50 state. Florida is always incredibly, incredibly close when it comes down to the math. And states like Georgia and North Carolina also complete toss-ups at this point. Again, in my last prediction video, I did give Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina as very slight tilts to Donald Trump. However, it's very conceivable to see Joe Biden leading, if not winning, on election night if there happens to be a national landslide. So again, seeing Joe Biden lead in something like North Carolina on election night really cuts off Donald Trump's paths. Or same thing with Georgia. Again, they're kind of comparable, 15 electoral votes, 16 electoral votes. If we see Joe Biden leading in any one of these states, that is going to be bad news for Donald Trump. Again, he has a narrow path. His hill is steeper than steep in many ways because he has to hold on to a lot of those key voters that have swayed heavily over to Joe Biden at this point. And in this right now, it is looking more likely that Michigan and Wisconsin might be called on election night. Pennsylvania, because they do not start actually tabulating the early voting until after election day, it is likely that Pennsylvania is not called, and it is possible that Donald Trump is leading in the state of Pennsylvania because of the fact that a lot of his supporters are going to be out, and those votes are going to be counted first. So really looking at the national dynamic right now, again, the Southeast, the most critical part. If we see Joe Biden winning in any one of these states or leading in these states, we are going to get a better picture of where the race is nationally. And we might see a state like Pennsylvania, even a Michigan, at this point leading for Donald Trump just because a lot of those votes are not counted yet. Again, it could be something like 60-70% reporting, and Donald Trump might be leading by a couple points in these states. That's why the North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida are so important because those states are probably going to be reporting 100% of their vote by the end of the night. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin are likely not going to have that tabulated. So again, if Joe Biden can simply win the election without having votes counted in the Rust Belt if he's really doing well. If he's winning Florida and he's winning Georgia, he doesn't need any of these Rust Belt states to claim victory, or even North Carolina. Donald Trump can win North Carolina, Arizona, even the entire Rust Belt. Again, that wouldn't happen. But really, what I'm trying to say is that when looking at the national picture, when actually analyzing what's going to happen on election night, it really comes down to looking at these three southeastern states. Again, Texas likely to be called for Donald Trump. They're going to do probably a good job tabulating votes in states like Texas, Ohio, and Iowa. Probably going to have a bit more trouble in the Rust Belt because of some of those rules that pertain to a lot of the mail-in voting counting after Election Day. So again, right now, Donald Trump is at 187. Joe Biden is at 232. I think that these states will probably be called on election night. Ohio and Iowa might potentially be closer, but really, when looking at the national dynamic, when looking at the trends of this race, it is going to come down to North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, at least on the first night. Again, I don't think they're going to decide the presidential winner on the first night, because a lot of these states, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, are going to be extremely close. Additionally, Arizona and Pennsylvania might also be very close. So it's really about who is leading at this point. If Joe Biden is winning, if he's declared the projected winner in any one of these southeastern states, even being declared a winner in something like Arizona, really, really hurts Donald Trump's math, because it makes him have to make up a bunch of ground in states that, yes, he did carry, but hasn't been leading in a very, very long time because of the coronavirus pandemic. So I'm just going to repeat it one more time. It is that these states are absolutely critical on the first night. North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. They're going to be states that are going to be heavily focused, because, again, Pennsylvania and Michigan, not impossible. In fact, very likely that Donald Trump is up a couple of points. He may be up 5 to 10% because his supporters are coming out. And over the days, as pre-election day votes are counted, the mail-in votes are counted, the 95 million or so across the country, we'll see Joe Biden probably close the margin and eventually take over Donald Trump. And they expect in a state like Pennsylvania for all of the votes to be counted. At least they'd hope that all the votes are counted by Friday after Election Day. So again, that leaves a lot of potential room for errors, and in very, very close races, we may not know for the presidential winner for days after the election, potentially even weeks, because a lot of these votes or a lot of these states, rather, in states like North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Pennsylvania, are going to be very, very tight, down to the wire. Again, at this point, I would give a state like Pennsylvania to Joe Biden, just in terms of polling and in terms of mail-in voting, as well as something like a North Carolina looks very good for Joe Biden. Georgia and Florida are a bit more up in the air, but again, all of these states are going to be very close, even though I do predict Joe Biden to eventually come out as the winner of this election. North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida are going to be the most important states on election night, and they're also going to be critically important to understanding the balance of power in the Senate, as well as whether or not the Democrats are going to pick up seats in the House, because North Carolina, with Cal Cunningham running as the Democrat, if he is winning here, not only will we have a sense of whether Joe Biden will be winning the state, if he's overperforming or underperforming Cunningham's numbers, but we'll also have a sense of whether or not other states, such as Georgia special, even something like Iowa with Joni Ernst, whether or not those are going to be competitive. And conversely, if we see something like North Carolina going to Donald Trump by decent numbers, whether or not the Senate race will be called for Thom Tillis. Again, lots of these trends. We may not know the winner on election night, but it's really going to help us get a better idea of not only who's going to win the presidency, as that is probably the most important election at this point, but also who is going to control the United States Senate, and whether or not Democrats will pick up House seats in a lot of these southern states, potentially as well as in the Rust Belt like they did in 2018. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.